Hi class. I looked at many of your assignment ones and I could see that there was some confusion in understanding research studies. So I thought I'd make this little PowerPoint for you so we could get some of the basics, just clarify some of the basics for you so it would be easier for you to do this assignment. So first of all, why are we doing this? Well, if you look in your syllabus there's student outcomes. So one of the outcomes of a master prepared nurse is that they are able to look at research findings and synthesize them and use those findings to inform their practice. So that's really why we're doing all this. So really the first step was when you are looking at an article, say, well, what type of question is being asked here? Because that's going to help you down the road, seeing what kind of test are used, what your independent variable is, and your dependent variable, and indeed if there even is one. So the first kind of question we have is descriptive. So what is the typical blood pressure for people in a given population? So we can never measure the whole population, so what we do usually is take a sample of the population, and then we look at this sample and we try to describe the population. How many of these people living in the Bronx are African American? How many are Hispanic? How many are whites? How many in this group have high blood pressure? So we're just describing here. And I saw a lot of you had used studies that were just describing. And so that kind of made it hard to think, okay, what's the independent variable and the dependent variable, when really we just have variables that we're looking at and saying, what's the percentage? What's the mean here? So this could be something like a survey, so a population study, or observational data. So that's one type of question. Another type of question, as we talked about, is the correlational or the predictive one. So, for example, is there a relationship between blood pressure and socioeconomic status? And I think this was actually from the data that we had used in class the other day on SPSS. So we're just looking, is there a relationship between these two variables? And then also for predictive, so in this relationship is, can you predict the outcome? So if you live in a certain neighborhood, can that predict blood pressure, or could it predict, if you're looking at epidemiology, so if you live in a certain neighborhood, is there more incidence of cancer in this neighborhood? And that's one example of kind of a predictive study. So another type is the group differences, or the cause and effect. So we're dividing our population into groups. And so that's actually our intervention there, is that we're dividing this group into to male and female, to smokers, non-smokers, quitters, whatever you divide those groups into. You give them names. They're nominal independent variables. And so we have to know how many groups there are, because that's going to help determine what test we run. For example, is the typical blood pressure higher in one residential area compared to another area? And do males have greater incidence of depression than females? So we're dividing our population into those two groups, and then we're going to look at some kind of that effect on a variable.